Set in Gran Tesoro, an independent country chartered by the world government, home of the world's greatest entertainment city, where well-known pirates, marines, and millionaires throughout the world gather in an absolute sanctuary that even the world government cannot touch. There, the Straw Hat Pirates meet the ruler of the country, the Golden Emperor Guild Tesoro, who easily wins pirates, the marines, and even the world government over to his side with money. He is about to take action to satisfy his bottomless ambition, which may result in major changes in power relationships in the new world. Welcome to Film Friday. Released in 2016, One Piece Film Gold is the latest entry into the One Piece movie franchise and the third project to be directly overseen by series creator Akira Oda. And the title really tells you all you need to know about the aesthetic of the film. Everything is gold, which I really enjoy because it's a massive departure from anything we've seen really in the series so far. As a result, it allows the setting of Entertainment City to really stand out and not blend into a mess of islands that all look alike, which is usually what we see in One Piece movies. Instead, Film Gold treats us to a vibrant and beautiful casino island. The level of background detail in the feature is absolutely astounding, and Entertainment City feels like a character of its own, absorbing the Straw Hats into it. However, just as with casinos in reality, there is a very dark underbelly lurking beneath the glitz and glamour of Gran Tesoro, all of which is led by the film's antagonist, Guild Tesoro, who is one evil dude. In one of the very first scenes to reveal his darkest side, Tesoro actually suffocates someone with gold, which is incredibly brutal by One Piece standards. It lets us know immediately that this guy is no joke and means serious business. His devil fruit, the Gol Gol no Mi, is also pretty crazy powerful, giving the user the ability to manipulate gold. In addition to that, Tesoro is also a rare awakened devil fruit user, making him that much more threatening. He's a cool enough villain, but he does lack the depth that Zephyr had during the previous film. I mean, there is a short backstory featuring him and a girl he loved named Stella, which I feel should have been much more impactful than it was. I think the idea of it was to make Tesoro a sympathetic character, but even after hearing the story, I still can't make the leap to why he does the terrible things that he does. On top of that, I also find that he has a lot of similarities to the canon villain Doflamingo, who at the time of this film's release was serving as the main antagonist in the manga. So yeah, I had a bit of trouble getting into Tesoro because he felt very much like a budget Doflamingo. Actually, when you look at the two side by side, they have some interesting stories. Doflamingo was a world noble who became a notorious figure in the pirate underground, whereas Tesoro was a commoner who became a notorious figure in high society, including the circles of the world nobles. So they're a bit too similar for my liking. However, Tesoro's underlings are probably the best group of sub-villains we've ever seen in a movie. I love each and every one of them, although I have a particular soft spot for Dice and his antics. But these guys actually add a lot to the film, and they don't feel like they're just following the big bad guy. Much like how a crew of villains should be, they all work together very well and present themselves as a legitimate threat. As with the previous two films, the Straw Hats are also played to perfection, with each of them feeling incredibly important to the plot. I'll also give a special shout out to Frankie, who has quite a big role in this film compared to every other feature. And that was really nice to see, because all too often he gets relegated to something like fixing the Sunny and piloting the Frankie Shogun. In Film Gold, he, alongside Luffy, really took up pole position of the entire second act. In regards to underused Straw Hats, in this film I'd say Zoro qualifies for that. Early on he gets caught by Tesoro, and his intended execution is really seemingly what drives the plot forward. Now, Zoro is my favourite character in the series, so this wasn't so great for me, but it's hard to complain. If someone else had been caught instead of him, then he'd probably just do what he always does, standing around being a badass until it's time to cut something. So you know what? He was probably the best narrative choice to be captured. Taking the second strongest Straw Hat captive also really helps build up the strength of Tesoro, who maintains a commanding villainous presence in the feature right up until his defeat. And now let's talk about Karina. She's basically Nami with lavender hair, but aside from that, her relationship with Nami is the driving force behind what emotional drama is present in the film. Her arc, consisting of many betrayals, is quite satisfying to watch, including the final shock right at the end of the film. I just wish she had a more interesting character design and wasn't a carbon copy of Nami's body. The plot moves forward at a very nice pace, and watching the Straw Hats in what is essentially a heist film is highly entertaining, especially when they are forced to impersonate world nobles. There really isn't a moment in this feature where I wasn't engaged, however I will say that it suffers a fair bit upon each subsequent viewing. As entertaining as the heist stuff was, when you know what the actual plan is, it can feel a bit slow, waiting for everything to come together to get into the climactic conclusion. However, that conclusion is 100% worth it, featuring some fantastic battles with Straw Hat team compositions we've not really seen before. I particularly liked the pairing of Sanji and Robin. Those two make a great team, and I'd love to see more action from that duo in the actual series. Oh, and Usopp finally gets a glorious movie moment when he is the one to figure out how to defeat Bakura, which makes me ever so proud of him. Usopp at his best is one of the greatest characters in One Piece. However, he is very rarely portrayed at his best, even in the actual series, so it was great to see him receive a true boss moment in a feature film. Luffy vs Tesoro is officially one of my favourite fights ever put to animation. Luffy holds nothing back against his gigantic opponent, and everything about Gear 4th practically had me yelling out in my seat. I do think that the finishing move was a bit unsatisfying though, mainly because we didn't actually see the final strike itself. So that's a shame, but hey, the rest of the fight is pure top quality stuff. The introductory fights the Straw Hats had in the beginning were also pretty damn cool, and it was definitely the best introduction to these characters I've seen in a film so far. I love how they all got introduced with their bounties and working in their element. Oh, and the cameos in this film are just amazing. Seeing characters like Wanzi and Absalam just floating around in the background are super cool Easter eggs for fans that I really appreciate. There were even some cameos that I didn't spot upon first watch, so go back and see Film Gold, and you might get some surprises. But there you have it. One Piece Film Gold is an incredibly entertaining film featuring fantastic animation, spot-on humour, and by and large well-written characters. If the main antagonist were a bit stronger, this feature may even surpass Film Z, but I do think it falters in that aspect quite a fair bit. With that said, I have no hesitation in calling this the second best film in the One Piece movie franchise so far. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end this review. And I'm sad to say that that pretty much does it for the series that is Film Friday. We've now covered every major entry of the One Piece filmverse. I mean, there is technically another one, a short 3D feature called Straw Hat Chase, but I looked into it and it seems kind of a waste of time. I mean, if you guys are keen for me to cover it though, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'm not really sure where or even if Film Friday will continue to from here. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this theatrical journey through One Piece. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.